mythic brawler Gigi is finally here, so here's a full guide on how to use her. Another mythic brawler, dude. Now I'll be covering Gigi's cool mechanics and how she works, the best build that you should use for her, and the best game modes for this spinny brawler. So stay tuned, okay? And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe because I'm on my way to 200,000 subscribers. So subscribe or you will turn into a mega box, okay? Now Gigi is the newest mythic brawler in the game, and surprise surprise, it's another assassin brawler. But yeah, Gigi is an assassin brawler with 7,600 health at the max level. Her main attack is actually really unique, and I think that's a really cool attack mechanic for an assassin brawler. Her attack pretty much allows her to spin and deal damage to enemies around her. Her ammo bar is very similar to Amber's. It is just a continuous ammo bar until the spin runs out. And her attack mechanics really remind me of Jackie's attack because you can also hit enemies through walls, which is very similar to Jackie's attack. While Gigi is using her attack, she also gains some movement speed as well, which can help you catch up to an enemy who's trying to get away or even escape from enemies who are whacking you out of existence. Now the range of this attack is actually pretty short, but it still does 1000 damage per hit, which is actually a solid amount of damage for this brawler. I would say that the damage output for this brawler is extremely balanced. Anything more than 1000 damage would really just be too much, dude. And this brawler would end up being completely broken. Now when using this attack, it is extremely important to keep an eye out for your ammo. If you randomly start attacking an enemy with half ammo, you may run out of ammo when spinning and you won't be able to do much damage to the enemy. So the best way to really use this attack is to use it with a full ammo bar, and this will allow you to do the maximum amount of damage towards your enemy. Alright, now on to Gigi's super, the Shadow Puppet. The super is pretty similar to Gray's super. It pretty much makes Gigi charge up for 0.8 seconds, then she teleports to the targeted super area. Now Gigi will actually charge up again for 3 seconds after you teleport, meaning you can use the super again, which will allow her to teleport back to the starting point. She also deals 3000 damage to the enemy, as you can see when I'm using her super within the 3 seconds. But you need to understand that after 3 seconds, Gigi won't be able to use her super again and teleport back to her starting position. You'll have to charge up another super and pretty much repeat the process. There's also a small bar under Gigi which indicates how much time you have to teleport back, so keep an eye on that while you're using your super. Gigi also has a unique trait that no other brawler has. She has a ring around her similar to Lily and Buzz, but this ring doesn't allow her to charge her super if enemies are inside it. Instead, if enemy projectiles and melee attacks are in the ring, this can contribute towards Gigi's supercharge. Gigi can obviously charge her super from attacking enemies as well, but if you're playing passively in the long range, allowing projectiles to enter her ring is an effective way of charging her super fast. Overall though, I really like the concept of this brawler and it's extremely unique, but I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys, she's not an S tier brawler, bro. I mean, she's not even an A tier brawler either, bro. I would honestly have to put her in the C tier. The main issue with Gigi is her range. She has such a small circle, so it's extremely difficult to attack enemies sometimes. You literally have to go up to the enemy at an extremely close range in order to deal damage. Now Gigi does do enough damage and she has enough health, but you have to constantly play aggro with her because of her short range, which does make this brawler a bit easy to counter. If Supercell wanted to make this brawler better, just give her the extra range, bro. It would honestly make this brawler 10 times better if she had some more range. And yeah, if you've made it this far into the video, comment your favorite thing about Gigi. But yeah, now that you know everything about Gigi and her mechanics, here's a full breakdown of both her gadgets and star powers. Keep in mind that I'll be covering the best build that you need to use for Gigi very soon, and let me tell you something, this build is crazy, okay? So stay tuned, okay? Now Gigi's first gadget, longer strings, is pretty straightforward. It pretty much increases the size of her supercharging area. So pretty much this ring around Gigi becomes much larger. I mean, look at this, dude. Now keep in mind that this gadget will not increase the attack range for Gigi. It's only meant to increase the size of the ring around Gigi. Now you're probably wondering, how is this useful, bro? Well, like I mentioned before, Gigi has a unique trait of charging her super every time projectiles or attacks enter the ring. Now the ring is actually really small and you'll have to be really precise when trying to get projectiles into the ring. So this gadget will actually help by that by increasing the ring size. With the gadget, it makes it a lot easier for Gigi to catch the projectiles, and this would pretty much help her charge her super much faster. And yeah, this gadget also has an 18-second cooldown. Now Gigi's next gadget, Disappearing Act, pretty much allows her to create an area that makes her and her teammates invisible for 3 seconds. So if you pop this gadget with a group of teammates around you, you and your teammates will be invisible for a solid 3 seconds. This is kind of similar to Leon's lollipop drop gadget, except it only lasts 3 seconds and it's a very small area. I think that this is a pretty trash gadget, to be honest, because first of all, the area size is way too small, so enemies can easily shoot at you and your teammates even if you're invisible, because the area is so small, bro. Secondly, it only lasts 3 seconds. Why, bro? And yeah, this gadget also has an 18-second cooldown. Gigi's first star power, Plie Protection, pretty much allows her to get a 30% increase in her supercharge rate only if she doesn't take any damage for 3 seconds. So essentially, if you're in a match and you haven't taken any damage for 3 seconds, and an enemy projectile goes through your ring without hitting you, your super will charge much faster because of the star power. I think that this is a pretty cool star power, and it can be extremely helpful if you struggle to charge your super with Gigi. You just need to make sure that you don't take any damage because this star power is pretty much useless if you're constantly taking damage. Now, Gigi's second star power, a helping hand, pretty much allows her to heal 2,400 health after using her super. So literally, if you use her super and teleport to, let's say, this area right here, Gigi will also gain an additional 2,400 health. Now, this is extremely helpful in scenarios where you may be low in health. The only thing that you have to be careful with when using the star power is a teleportation delay. Gigi actually has a slight delay when teleporting, so if you have like 100 health and decide to teleport in front of an enemy, they can easily eliminate you because of that delay. So make sure to either have a bit more extra health when teleporting or just teleport in an area where the enemy isn't there. But yeah, now that you know how Gigi's star powers and gadgets work, it is now time for me to show you the greatest Gigi build of all time. And let me tell you something, this is the Gigi build of all Gigi builds, okay? So stay tuned because I'm gonna break down this entire build and explain why it's the most effective for Gigi. But yeah, starting off with the gadget, I obviously had to choose a longer strings gadget. First of all, the other gadget is completely useless, bro. I mean, 3 seconds. But yeah, I found the longer strings gadget to be extremely effective, especially in game modes like Brawl Ball and Gem Grab. If you're struggling to charge your super and you're mostly hiding behind walls, you can simply pop this gadget and whatever projectiles go through the ring, it will contribute towards a super meter, which is extremely helpful. Now, the only issue with this gadget has to be the cooldown. It has an 18-second cooldown, bro. I think Supercell should definitely look into lowering that cooldown to like 15 seconds or something, but overall, this is definitely the best gadget for Gigi. But yeah, onto the star power, I decided to choose a helping hand star power. Now, don't get me wrong, this other star power isn't completely useless like this gadget, but the problem is you're bound to take a lot of damage with this brawler because her attack is at a very close range, so you're gonna end up taking damage most of the time, especially when attacking. Now, if you're playing passively though, this star power can work, but I personally prefer the helping hand star power. It's a great way of gaining some extra health or make an escape if enemies are whacking you out of existence. If you're low in health, try going behind a wall or far away from your enemies, then teleport away and gain the extra 2,400 health just like that. It's also a great star power for pushing enemies. If you whack an enemy out of existence and another enemy is running away, just pop your super on the other enemy, gain that extra 2,400 health, and whack them out of existence. This star power is a great way of gaining extra health fast, especially if you're always low in health. But yeah, onto the first gear. You already know that I had to choose the shield gear. Now, Gigi does have 7,600 health at the max level, which isn't too bad, but because she's a close range brawler, she's gonna end up taking a good amount of damage. That is why the shield gear is extremely useful for her. They really have to increase the range of this brawler, bro. But yeah, for the second gear, I decided to choose a damage gear. Like I mentioned before, Gigi is a close range brawler, and you're gonna end up taking a lot of damage when attacking enemies at the close range. Therefore, you're probably gonna be below 50% health in a lot of scenarios. This gear will allow you to deal 15% more damage when you're below 50% health, so it can be incredibly useful, especially as a close range brawler. I mean, this 15% damage boost can literally change the scenario of the game, and it can even help you eliminate enemies a bit faster. But yeah, now that you know the best possible build for Gigi, here are some of the best game modes for this brawler. I tested Gigi out in the main game modes, and I'm going to be explaining the game modes that I think she's best in. Stay tuned for the last game mode because Gigi is surprisingly pretty good in this game mode. Alright, starting off with the good old Brawl Ball, Gigi is a solid pick for this game mode. Honestly, I think that almost every brawler is a solid pick for Brawl Ball. It really depends on the map though. But yeah, I've been using Gigi in Brawl Ball and she's performed pretty well. Her super is extremely helpful in scenarios where enemies are pushing your team. Like if the enemy is pushing towards your team trying to score a goal, you can literally teleport behind them with Gigi and easily eliminate at least one enemy. And if you're about to get eliminated or you're low in health, just click her super again within the 3 seconds and you can teleport back to your starting point. Her teleporting super is also really good for pushing into enemies. I mean, you can use it to push into enemies and even score a goal. If you just unlock Gigi, I would definitely use her in Brawl Ball, especially for trophy pushing. The next best game mode for Gigi has to be Gem Grab. I'm gonna be honest, I've mainly been using Gigi in Brawl Ball and another game mode that I'll be mentioning later, but I did play a few Gem Grab games with her and I think that she's pretty decent in this game mode as well. The only limitation for Gigi in Gem Grab is her extremely close range. Therefore, you would have to play a bit passively in Gem Grab. But once you get your super, that's when you can start going aggro. Just teleport to the enemy that has the most gems and just whack them out of existence with your close range. Keep in mind that if you're ever low in health and you still have your super, you can just teleport back within the 3 seconds and play a bit passively again. Gem Grab is all about patience, so you never want to go extremely aggro all the time, especially if you're the gem carrier with 10 gems. So if you're thinking about using Gigi and Gem Grab, just know that you might have to play passively if you want to maximize your chances of winning the game. Now, surprisingly, Gigi is actually a pretty decent pick in Knockout. I went into Knockout thinking that I would get absolutely cooked, but but surprisingly, Gigi is not a bad pick in this game mode. If you're playing in maps like this one, for example, Gigi is actually pretty solid. You can sneak around in the bushes and also use your gadget to charge your super faster because enemies are going to be shooting around and there's a good chance that some projectiles might go into your ring. And the moment that you're near an enemy, just attack away and whack them out of existence. And listen, when you manage to get your super, use it wisely. You want to use it on an enemy that can't hard counter you or has low health. Don't go using it on a 10,000 HP duck because he will literally melt you, bro. In some knockout maps though, you might have to play passively with Gigi, but if you get a map like this, you can sneak around in the bushes and play aggro against enemies. Okay, I played a few games of Hot Zone with Gigi and she's not that bad in this game mode. Honestly, the other game modes that I mentioned are way better, but if you're a Hot Zone main and only play Hot Zone for some reason, you can get away with playing Gigi in this game mode. Now, Gigi is not good at controlling the Hot Zone point at all, especially if you're alone on the point. It is really easy to get melted with this brawler, especially from those marksman brawlers, but you can easily regain control of the Hot Zone points with Gigi. Let me explain how. If your teammates are fighting enemies on the point and the enemies end up dropping below 50% HP, you can teleport to the point and just spin away and whack them out of existence. Now, although Gigi's attack doesn't have that much range, you can still hit multiple enemies at once while using your attack. If you're also playing in maps with a lot of bushes, you can try to sneak up on enemies and use those bushes to an advantage. I think that the best way to win in Hot Zone with Gigi though would be with her super. You don't want to use your super into a full stack of enemies with max health though. I would recommend coordinating with your team instead and only use your super when it's the right time, like when enemies are low on the point, for example. And finally, we have Solo Showdown. I know I'm surprised as well. I think that I gained most of my trophies on this brawler just by playing Solo Showdown, but yeah, it really depends on what Solo Showdown map you're using Gigi on. If you're playing in a map with a lot of bushes like Feast or Famine, you can easily get a bunch of wins with Gigi. You can take control of the middle because of her close range mechanics. Literally just run around in a circle in the middle of the map, and every time you see an enemy, attack away. Now, some brawlers can obviously counter Gigi, but you can still get away with getting a bunch of trophies from Solo Showdown. I was using Gigi in the Acid Lakes map the other day, and she was a pretty solid pick for this map. You can easily push into the middle and grab all the power cubes very fast, and literally just play passively until Showdown hits. Just try getting your super before Showdown because it can really help you win the game, especially in a 1v1 situation. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, click on this video to see a full guide on how to use Ziggy in Brawl Stars.